I'm here with Ron Foltz, who shot the cover photo for our Kohl's Calendar 2023. Welcome to the show, Ron.
Hi, thank you, Donna.
So tell me a little bit about how you got this beautiful photograph.
Well, it happened to be, it was in the wintertime last year in December. It might have been early January this year. I can't quite remember that well. But anyway, this parking lot has a lot of good bird habitat. They have a lot of native trees, native shrubs. And it was a cold, crisp morning. And I had a feeling, it'd be a pretty good morning to get some bird photography. And the particular little song sparrow, I seen several birds flying in these little juniper bushes. There were some yellow rump warblers, or myrtle warblers that they're called, and song sparrows. So most of my bird pictures I shoot right out of my truck. Believe it or not, your vehicle is probably one of the best blinds you can use. So I pulled up not too close, but close enough to the bushes, and I just, I waited them out, and they weren't afraid of me at all. And the little guy, he was singing, and I fired some shots away, and I knew it was going to be a good picture. And with that little particular situation where I was at, I like to get the birds on top of wherever they're singing, so you get a really good background. And he was perched, near the top of the branch. And I had, enough, the background was far enough in the distance to where, it made a nice pleasing shot. And you could see the frost on the juniper branches, which I thought really made it a nice picture. And, what I always say is I try to get, an extraordinary picture out of an ordinary subject, just like that little song sparrow. And there's, a lot of people try to go for the extraordinary and make it an extraordinary picture. They want to try to find these real rare birds, real colorful birds, stuff like that. And, and they're disappointed if they don't get that shot. Well, I'm just as happy as if I get a little, song sparrow or a house finch, and you get a really nice shot of them. To me, it's just as nice as getting something extraordinary, like a bald eagle or something like that.
Well, that's what I thought when I saw it. Almost always the shots are cardinals and bluebirds and extraordinary looking birds. And I thought, how wonderful to have this little bird that we see all the time, a common little sparrow, to make the cover of the calendar. How did you feel when you heard that you won, or that you made the cover?
Yeah, pretty surprised, because I sent in some other pictures too, and, more colorful birds. And, I like that picture because I do a little calendar myself I put out, and that particular bird, that picture was, I have it for the month of January for next year. So I like the picture. I thought it was, it had a shot at winning something. But, I was very surprised that it actually won to make the cover, and, very pleased, and, really appreciated it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And the gifts were really nice. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So do you have any tips for people, a lot of people who buy Kohl's and feed the birds?
I could talk all day on tips, but probably the main ones I would have to say is really, know your camera. Just the basics of your camera. Because when I first started 6 years ago, I knew nothing. The only thing I ever used was a point and shoot and the camera from my iPhone. That was it. I had no idea what they were talking about when I'd read about apertures, ISO, shutter speed. I didn't know any of that. So I almost gave up doing it. I bought a big lens. It was like on a Black Friday sale. And I put it on my camera, went out Friday afternoon. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't take a good picture for nothing. And I said to myself, I'm just going to take it back on Monday. This isn't for me. And there was just a little voice in my head that said, hey, you don't really know, you don't know anything about your camera. At least maybe try going on YouTube and see if there's any videos on that. And there's quite a few videos. There was, a lot of garbage, but there were some really good videos. And I found one particularly good one. I can't remember who it was from. It was just, I remember he was a young kid, and he had the camera that I had. I just started out with just a Canon Rebel. And he was talking really slow, and he was holding the camera, and he was showing you what he was doing. And I could hold the camera and look at it as he was going through it, and it really helped me. And by the following Monday, I was starting to take pictures. Granted, they weren't great, but it was way better than what I did, the Friday before. So I didn't give up.
Yeah, it's not just about buying the equipment, it's about really knowing it. That's such
there's
a
so
great
many
point.
photographers I'm Facebook friends with. They've got the fancy, mirrorless cameras and that. I mean, they're great. I mean, it's better than the camera I use, but you can still get great pictures from your old cameras. Because oftentimes, I'll see pictures from these fancy cameras, and they're taking them when it's still really dark out. The lighting isn't good. I mean, your camera isn't going to make it, a perfect picture when you got terrible weather conditions, if it's too dark or if it's real harsh sunlight. I mean, you got to figure all that in when you're taking the picture. And that's what I try to do when I'm doing mine. I mean, I try to take as good of a picture, as I can, so I don't have to do all the stuff on Photoshop. I mean, yeah, I still use some Photoshop, but I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I mean, there's so much to it. I just know the basics, just like my camera. I know how to set my shutter speed, what it does, the aperture. You just got to know those things. It's going to take time. And what I also suggest is practice. I mean, when I first started doing this, I was going out probably just about every day. I mean, it wasn't, hours a day, but I'd be out at least 15, 20 minutes. And, I was just shooting anything, any birds that come by. And it'd be practice. I mean, whether it be a starling, house sparrow, pigeon, mourning dove, robins, you take it, when you finally get a good picture of that bird and you look at the histogram and everything's done right, then it starts coming to you. It's like, hey, this is how I do it. So when a neat bird that I want to photograph, offers me that same situation, I'm ready. Because when I first started, I mean, there was just millions of things that come into my head. It's like, man, is my shutter speed right? Is my ISO right? All this stuff. I would just freeze, and naturally the bird would fly away. I didn't get a picture. And once you start getting more confident with that, you won't believe how much better your photography will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the tips today. And that's all the time that we have, but we appreciate it. And congratulations to you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you for everything. And I really enjoyed it.
Hello, this is Richard Cole. I want to thank each of you for watching, and I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to share it.